Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, of course he is. They've announced it already. It is going to happen. But that's not really what I'm asking here. I'm not asking, is the match even going to happen? It is. It's been announced. They are going to do Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank. The question I'm asking is, which one? After all, there are two different Bray Wyatt. Well, not really two different, but there are two different personas in Bray Wyatt. There is Bray Wyatt, the host of the Firefly Funhouse, and then there is the Fiend. And the way things are looking right now, with the match graphic that they posted on WWE.com, and the fact that we haven't seen hide nor hair of the Fiend, I'm starting to wonder if that's what we're doing. We're not doing the Fiend versus Braun Strowman. We're doing Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. And it's not like we haven't done that before. TLC 2019, Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend, Bray Wyatt fought against The Miz. We didn't see the Fiend. The match was Bray versus The Miz, and that was that. I mean, we did see we did see the Fiend a little bit on that night, but it looked like they were, not in the match capacity. He wasn't in the ring. So that's really what I'm wondering about. If you saw SmackDown, they're doing a lot of callbacks to the Wyatt family with this, and it's specifically Bray who's been talking to Braun, not the Fiend. Like, we haven't seen the Fiend whatsoever. It kind of looks like we're getting Bray Wyatt versus the Fiend, not versus the Fiend. Though that would be an interesting match, though, if they could. I mean, with the way they're doing production right now, it's not impossible for them to do it. But Braun versus Bray seems to be where we're going here. It's not the Fiend going against Braun, and that kind of makes sense because the Fiend usually goes after people who has wronged Bray Wyatt in the past. But the truth is, Braun really hasn't. He was taken away from the Wyatt family due to the draft. And while they did square up against each other on the Survivor Series, they've never actually had a falling out. So it kind of makes sense that Bray would want to take care of Braun himself, not as the Fiend, or not using the Fiend on. It's a little bit weird. It's like they keep referring to, they keep saying the Fiend Bray Wyatt. But the way the story they're telling, I feel like the more appropriate thing is to just say that they're two different people. In a sense. It's like, yeah, I know it's the guy who plays Bray Wyatt behind the mask, but at the same time, I feel like that's the way way the story should look at it. They're two different entities. You have Bray Wyatt and you have the Fiend. The Fiend is usually doing things on Bray Wyatt's behalf. But Bray is not really the Fiend. He always refers to him as a different person. I mean, he always talks about the Fiend as a separate entity. He always refers to the Fiend as, him, or that, I'm a huge fan of yours, but he isn't. I forgive you, but he certainly doesn't. And he refers to the Fiend as a different entity. Now, again, the story varies a little bit. One thing, and that's really why I'm wondering, because again, we have a precedent. We have seen Bray Wyatt fight against the Fiend, fight without the Fiend in the past, as in, not in the distant past, no, I mean in recent past, after the gimmick was debuted. So there is a possibility that that's what we're going with. I don't know for certain, but that's the way it's looking right now. will that be what's going to happen on Money in the Bank? I don't know. I'm not even entirely sure if I want to watch Money in the Bank. Speaking of Money in the Bank, what the hell is this whole new Money in the Bank stuff that they're going with? Apparently now it's not a ladder match anymore. It's a climb the corporate headquarters match. Because apparently they're placing the Money in the Bank briefcase on the roof of WWE headquarters, and they're supposed to start in the basement and move their way up. Huh? This is a weird ass stipulation that they're doing right now. I don't know what to say. It's really weird. So yeah. That's my 2 cents really about this whole thing. Because that's really something I'm interested in knowing. When it comes to I'm going back on Bray vs. Braun for a little bit, because there's one thing about that, I'll talk about the possibility. What about personal opinion? Would I want to see a match like that? Yeah, actually I'm not against that idea. Besides, I've said that they've kind of booked themselves into a corner here. Like, they can't really have the Fiend lose again, not since he's been built up again after the Firefly Funhouse match. Like, they're trying to build him back up again. But Braun just started his title reign. This match would have been something I would have put down the line. Maybe for SummerSlam if that happens. But yeah, that's really my thought process is the plan going forward is a little bit on the weird side as to which way they're going with it. Because if Bray is the one in the match and not the Fiend, if Braun wins, I don't think it's going to hurt the Fiend, hurt Bray that much. Like, Bray lost, but the Fiend didn't. So down the line, when you do want to take the title off Braun, then you could bring along the Fiend. After all, because the whole plan with Roman Reigns, he's out because of the health concerns, and he recently announced that he has 2 twins on the way. As in, not him specifically, but his wife does. And that's his second pair, by the way. So Roman now has 5 kids to take care of. So, yeah. I don't really expect to see Roman back for quite some time. So yeah. If you're going to have someone take the belt off of Braun, I think Bray Wyatt makes the most sense. But having him lose as Bray Wyatt at Money in the Bank isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's like, he lost, but you still have the Fiend. So down the line, you can bring out the Fiend, and the Fiend can finish him off. That's my 2 cents on the matter. I wouldn't necessarily be against Bray Wyatt losing if it's Bray who's fighting Braun, not the Fiend. If it was the Fiend, I would say you kind of have to have the Fiend win to get his title back. You kind of have to have the Fiend win his title back. Yeah. But those are my 2 cents on the matter. I'm not entirely sure what they're going for here. Not entirely sure if I'm going to watch Money in the Bank at all. Well, because I'm kind of done with these empty arena matches. I'm kind of bored with them and all that. But we'll see. Yeah. If I do decide to do one, I probably will do some predictions videos and some thoughts videos going forward. But if I don't, well, I'll maybe do something down the line. After all, I have all the time in the world. Well, I already did, because I don't do anything anyway. Well, especially with the current situation, which will probably last for the rest of the year, possibly longer. I've heard some experts say that this situation will maybe last till 2022. Ugh, that's not good. But anyway, that's my thought process going forward, and I'll see you later with something else. And remember, as always, stay home.